Hello, my beautiful friends. My name is Kim, and I hope you're having a fabulous day today. If you're interested in true crime like I am, I hope that you would consider hitting that subscribe button. But either way, thanks for being here. Today, we're going to be talking about Kendall Chick. Kendall was killed by the people meant to love and care for her. This story is extremely horrific because Kendall was brutally assaulted and betrayed by her very own family. When I heard about this case, I realized this little girl's story needs to be told. So let's talk about Kendall in the state of Maine. But first, a word from our sponsor. Harry's has changed my life with their amazing razors. And yes, that may sound dramatic, but shaving is not my favorite task. Harry's makes it easy and manageable. They have 5 blades with a flex hinge to really get a close shave. They glide easy, removing hair with a breeze. The handle is textured and weighted, so you get full control of the razor while you shave. Don't even get me started on the foaming shave gel. It has aloe and hyaluronic acid in it, which is perfect for my skin. If you have sensitive skin, this is ideal for you as well. Again, life-changing. Harry's delivers directly to your door as well, and it's a fraction of the cost of store-bought razors, and honestly 1,000 times better. Harry's has a starter kit that comes with the 5-blade razor, the weighted handle, a travel cover for the razor, and the foam shave gel. Harry's has a 100% guarantee money back if you are not happy with your order. You will be, but it is a nice security to be able to get your money back if you're not happy. You can get the starter kit right now with my code for only $3. That is a steal for all the products that you get. Thanks to Harry's for making today's video possible and, generally making my life easier. Kendall Chick was born November 26, 2013 to her mom, Alicia Chick, and her father, Scott Hood. There is not much evidence that little Kendall ever existed. There was no birth announcement in the paper when she was born. There are very few pictures of her little life. Actually, when she was born, she had opiates in her system and was developmentally delayed. Kendall lived with her mom and dad for the first 2 years of little Kendall's life. Because she had been born with substances in her system, DHHS was called. For simplicity, we're going to be calling them child services. However, according to child services report, they decided to leave her with her parents, and they referred them to parenting classes and gave them housing assistance and treatment. The treatment is not known. They just call it treatment. Her parents completed these services, so the case was closed in August of 2014. Just a few months later, in October, Child Services received another call reporting that Kendall was not being taken care of, but the caseworker couldn't substantiate abuse or neglect, so she closed the case. The caseworker got another report in May of 2016, again stating that baby Kendall was being neglected, not cared for by her parents, who were at the time addicted to opiates. This time, the caseworker did find that Kendall, at this point, who was about 2.5 years old, that there was neglect and possible abuse going on, but definitely there was neglect and she wasn't being cared for. So she was removed from her parents' care. The caseworker was told by the mother that she would like Kendall to be placed with her paternal grandfather, Stephen Hood Jr. Alicia said that whenever Kendall went to go stay with her grandpa, she always came home very happy. The caseworker, Heather Campbell, says she did a background check on the grandfather, Stephen Hood, and his fiancee of 12 years, Shauna Gatto. She did a home visit and then cleared them to have Kendall placed in their home. She saw no red flags, no reason to think that Kendall wouldn't be taken care of. After her death, the memo from DHHS Commissioner Janine Lambrou said that the state identified deficits in the caseworker's practice and oversight, including, quote, failures to adhere to policies around placement with family members. See, Heather Campbell, she didn't do these background checks. If she had, she would have known that Stephen Hood had 10 arrests on his record for violent offenses, and Kendall would have never been placed there. But there she was in the home with her grandfather, Stephen, and his fiancee Shauna at 19 Crickets Lane. Shauna also took care of two of her biological grandchildren at the same time. One was 4 years old and one was a 9-month-old baby. Shauna would later say she thought Kendall was only going to be there for 15 days until some legal things were worked out with her mother, but she ended up staying there for a lot longer than 15 days. There are texts between Shauna and Stephen that show how much trouble Shauna had taking care of Kendall. And through these texts, you could tell that Shauna really resented her presence, as well as how Stephen and Shauna would describe Kendall. Stephen would later say that she was a ray of sunshine who met me at the door every day after work with open arms full of love. Shauna said she was a sweet little girl, happy-go-lucky, never sad. Shauna also called her a drug baby and lazy. So her grandpa, who called her a ray of sunshine, right? He, in these texts, wrote on September 14th, just 2 months before she died, "I'm sick of it. You and I have no life. The life we have sucks. Call DHHS and see what they say. If they think she needs special care and can place her, fine. Then they can take her." Another text from Shauna 2 days before Kendall died. "I don't know what to do. Get rid of her? Question mark. How? Question mark. If we did, then we would have to carry the guilt. She needs to change because we don't have a life together. It sucks. I love you and we have to make it what we want. Nothing changes if nothing changes," the text read. Shauna texts just before the murder. "I'm so fucking done with this kid." You can clearly see that Shauna was having problems taking care of Kendall, and she was talking about it to her fiancé, Stephen. He was aware there were no secrets here. When little Kendall had a black eye, you better believe that Grandpa saw it. So on December 8th at 3:25 p.m., Stephen came home from work and little Kendall didn't meet him at the door on this day. He was worried, so he asked Shauna, where's Kendall at? She didn't meet me at the door. Shauna said that Kendall had soiled herself on purpose, so she was in the empty bathtub, but that he shouldn't go in there because she was in a timeout. Now, I don't know about you guys if you've ever heard of this before, but having a timeout in a bathtub, an empty bathtub, but that's what she said. So Stephen worked for a while in his bedroom and then left to go to the hardware store around 4:30. But before he left, Shauna called him back into the house and said something was wrong with Kendall. He went back in the back bathroom and found Kendall lying naked and motionless on the bathroom floor. He moved her to the living room floor and started performing CPR. Shauna suggested that somebody call 911. Then he moved Kendall again. He's just moving her around the house, this time to the master bedroom floor, and he kept doing CPR. At 4:35, Shauna called 911 and told the dispatcher that the 4-year-old Kendall was unresponsive. The transcript of the call is heavily redacted, but it does show Stephen talking to the dispatcher and also arguing with Shauna. Stephen was saying, "We're losing her." When the emergency responders got there, they found Stephen performing CPR on Kendall in the master bathroom. So he moved her bathroom, master bedroom, and then back to the bathroom. We don't know why he moved her twice. I guess it was 2 times, the master bedroom and then back in the bathroom. No one knows. According to the arrest affidavit, Shauna texted her daughter-in-law, Danielle Coffin, who worked at the hospital in Brunswick, 1 minute before she called 911. And the text read, "You need to get home now. I think Kendall is dead." When Danielle texts Shauna back, she wrote, "I've never seen something so bad in my life." And then, did she hit her head or something? Question mark. That was horrible. So I'm not sure what the back and forth was, but so Danielle knew what was going on before 911, but anyways, Kendall was transported to Mid-Coast Hospital in Brunswick, and she was pronounced dead on arrival. Shauna went to the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and was interviewed that evening. Through the 3-hour interview, she described Kendall as very clumsy and said she fell all the time. She said she would walk into walls while looking at someone and fall without catching herself. She even reenacted Kendall falling, showing she wouldn't put her hands out to catch herself, although she said that Kendall had not had any accidents that day, that she was just fine. When speaking with the police, she would say Kendall's black eye came from running into a coffee table. Then the next day, she would say that it came from her hitting a door jamb. Her stories always changed. One thing was consistent, though. She always said she was fine 10 minutes ago. Well, we'll come back to that. Because of the questionable death and circumstances, the Maine State Police got a search warrant for the house and searched it late that evening. Shauna was arrested 6 days later and charged with depraved indifference murder. Depraved indifference murder is also called second-degree murder. The definition is when a person has utter disregard for the value of human life, a willingness to act, not because they mean to cause grievous harm, but they simply do not care whether or not the grievous harm will result in death. There is a phenomenon that psychiatrists have identified in cases like this, where only one child receives brutal punishment while the other children are well taken care of and there is no abuse. It is called the Cinderella phenomenon or target child selection. It may apply in this case because Shauna's other grandchildren were just fine. Shauna decided to have a bench trial. That is where there is no jury. Only a judge decides your fate. The prosecution opened up with this statement: she was fine 10 minutes ago. And then he would hold up a picture of little Kendall's bruised and battered body. Then again, he would say she was fine 10 minutes ago. And then he would hold up another picture for the judge to see. He did this several times to make a point that no matter what Shauna said, she was not fine 10 minutes ago. The prosecution called one of the EMTs that had arrived on the scene to the stand. EMT Anita testified that the environment in the house was odd. She said the first room that her and the other first responder entered was dark and nobody was hysterical. She said Kendall was found lying on a towel in the bathroom. She was lifeless, lying there limp. She also noticed that the right side of Kendall's head was deformed and squishy, and that she had a deep purple swollen right eye. Dr. Eric Sampson, the attending emergency room doctor who saw Kendall, also took the stand. He said that the bruise on her head looked older, but he couldn't tell exactly when it had happened. He said that her head injury was very unlikely to represent an accidental injury. No, Shauna, she did not walk into a wall or a coffee table. When forensics processed the house, they found evidence of blood and signs of someone trying to clean it up. Stains on a sponge and a shirt that was in the tub, on paper towels in the trash, on towels and bedding, and on the set of child's pajamas they found that were soaking in a bucket of water. There was also a dent in the drywall of the kid's bedroom in the shape of a child's head stained with blood and embedded with Kendall's hair. The medical examiner documented at least 15 injuries to the victim's head and face, including serious bruises and deep lacerations. He said that she was very small for her age, with patchy thin hair. He also said that although her skull was not fractured, she had a lot of blood buildup under the scalp and a buildup of scar tissue from previous head injuries. Her brain had swollen due to oxygen deprivation. He said that little Kendall suffered from child abuse syndrome. The thymus gland of an abused child can weigh 1/10 of a healthy child's gland. The reason is that chronic stress or abuse, the thymus gland will atrophy. The thymus gland plays a crucial role in the ability for your immune system to do its job to fight off illnesses. The autopsy also revealed that Kendall's abdomen was distended but did not show any bruises or external signs of injury. Kendall had 1/3 of her blood volume in her abdomen, her intestines were torn, and her pancreas was lacerated as well. The loss of blood caused her brain to be starved for oxygen and swell, and eventually caused her heart to stop. She had many other bruises and cuts on her head, on her neck, and her arms and legs. The doctor said her injuries were caused between 3 to 6 hours before her death. During the trial, Shauna's lawyer tried to frame all of these injuries as accidental, but none of the medical experts, not even the ones hired by her own defense, would testify to that. Then they tried to say that their injuries were caused by Grandpa Stephen Hood Jr., but Shauna refused to accuse him of ever abusing her or Kendall. She stated also that she was the only one in the home the whole day. After a 5-day trial, Justin William Stokes found Shauna guilty of depraved indifference murder. Shauna's defense attorney stated that she did not deserve a life sentence and that they asked for no more than 30 years in prison. The judge sentenced her to 50, as she deserves, in prison, and described the physical abuse that Kendall endured as outrageous, revolting, shocking, and brutal. He said he had considered a life sentence, but imposed the lesser one because he believed Shauna was overwhelmed by the responsibility of caring for Kendall and the other 2 grandchildren. Her attorney did file an appeal that was denied by Maine Supreme Court in June of 2020, stating that the long-term abuse of little Kendall was tantamount to torture. Then her new attorney filed for a post-conviction review. Her new attorney said that because of poor communication between her and her trial lawyer, she did not fully understand all of her legal options in the evidence against her. He said that she would have pled no contest. A no contest plea simply means that the accused acknowledges that the state can prove their case. It is not admission of guilt or innocence. This would have gotten her no more than 25 years. So this review has to go through the lower courts, basically through Justice Stokes, who already found her guilty. He obviously denied her post-conviction relief on November 3rd, 2021. So all appeals are done, and she is now serving her 50 years as she deserves. Kendall's mother, Alicia Chick, was found and advised that her daughter had been murdered. She had not seen Kendall in a year and a half, but when the news crews found her, she was panhandling with a sign that said, "Struggling since the murder of my daughter. Please, anybody help. Thanks," is what the sign said. I have to say, this really irritates me. I understand her mother has substance issues and is living in the Oxford Street homeless shelter when she was informed of Kendall's murder, but it angers me that she is trying to profit from her child's death. After the murder, the state of Maine's DHHS really had to investigate how they were handling calls for help. The caseworker on Kendall's case, Heather Campbell, had her professional license revoked for falsifying records. See, she had put in her records that she had done that background check on Stephen Hood and Shauna Gatto, but obviously she hadn't. Also, Child Services opened a case and substantiated allegations against Shauna for physical and emotional abuse of Kendall after her death, of course, nothing like proactive. So after her death, Child Services did try to do better. Since October of 2021, they have added more than 100 new workers to the Office of Child and Family Services. Most work in child welfare. These deaths also spurred Senator Bill Diamond to take action. He actually sat in on Shauna's trial. He watched and looked. He took it all in. He saw the failures of Child Services and realized the state of Maine needed to do better. He said he's been looking for answers ever since the death of little Logan Marr at the hands of her foster mother. He said, quote, "It tears my heart out when I think of a little helpless kid being treated the way that they were, and it makes it worse that all these kids are in the state care and the agencies supposed to protect them have not been doing a very good job." So he proposed a new bill. It's called the LD 1834, and it's currently being before Maine's legislature, and it would create a system designed to monitor on an ongoing basis the DHHS regarding effectiveness of the office in protecting the safety of children in the state care. Also, it proposes monitoring of the policies and practices used by the office to maintain the safety of a child in state care. The bill is currently being looked at, and it is bold and would truly make a difference for the children left in the care of Maine's Department of Health and Human Services. There is opposition to this bill, stating it would cost too much to put these services in place. We are watching this closely. Hopefully, Maine does the right thing and passes this new bill, LD 1834. While Kendall's family may have failed her, the people of the community, strangers, came together in her honor. The community came together to hold a candlelight vigil to remember the little girl who died way too soon. Cannot wait to hear your thoughts in the comments on this one. Let's leave a pink heart for little Kendall. Thanks to all my channel members who continue to support me. Their names are on the screen. If you would like to become a channel member, you can do so by clicking the join button down in the description box, or you can join my Patreon. Well, if you guys have made it to the end, you guys are rock stars and I love you to death. There are more true crime stories in my Crimey Cases playlist if you'd like to check them out. Stay safe, my loves, and remember, if you see something, say something. Bye. Thank you.